Hey everybody, it's BDC. Thanks for checking out this video and my channel. Today I am doing a workshop item preview of the 4th generation of my Silverback CV, which is the flagship of my Monkey Tools collection for Empyrion Galactic Survival. I did a refit of this ship a couple of days ago, and I wanted to do a kind of an update video for it. So the ship on the right is the 3rd generation. That's the one that I had working for many months. It was updated for Alpha 9 and had some good stuff on it, but it wasn't quite 100% where I wanted it. So in lieu of an issue I had, it was kind of more of a pet peeve really, of the front laser drills, along with a need for some greater thruster footprint and options for dealing with higher gravity worlds. I decided to do a refit of the ship. So I'll go over this real quickly. I moved the laser drills. They're normally, at least on this version right here, they were 5 of them at the top, and it became a little bit difficult in first person to be able to see what you were doing whenever you're drilling. So one of the major changes I did here was I had to kind of redesign the cockpit and all this to accommodate laser drills that are in a more circular oval type pattern. It's something similar I do to some of these other singular CV asteroid drillers, these asteroid monkeys or asteroid gorillas or whatever I called them. Anywho, so it necessitated a excuse me, a cockpit redesign. Which then forced me to have to move the cockpit block itself up 1 block, and then redesign the glass work and all that jazz over there to reseal it all back up. So in doing that, that also necessitated moving the front launchers, the rocket launchers, and the front pulse lasers, and those are only used in orbital playfields, by the way, up in space. So there's that. Other changes I made. I rotated the drill turrets 90 degrees to skinny this up to accommodate the block changes here for the drills and all that kind of thing. The reason why I did that and moved them in a block is because they would block the cannon turrets if they were sitting out there. So I wound up having to do that. So the majority of the aesthetic changes, as can be shown here, are done up in the front. Not much has changed in the top or the back, other than what was required blocks-wise to integrate these 2 large vertical thrusters, and that was done for high gravity. I was playing up on a public server that had a planet that was either 4 or 5G or something, and the ship fell like a rock, and it struggled to move, and I barely got it back up into space through much consternation and anxiety. So I decided to find a place to fit a couple of those larger thrusters. And they're on a separate group called boosters. They're down there. So they're on their own power group. So there you can see the change reflected there. It was the best logical place to fit those things. So those have been added in for dealing with higher gravity. Another thing I've done is I've added more thrusters basically all around, with the exception of, I think, upper vertical. I added forward and reverse and lateral thrust and vertical thrust downward and stuff like that over and above what was on the 3rd generation ship here. So it's to give it a little bit more maneuverability up in space and just, make it feel less like a sluggish heavy boat kind of thing. So let's see, changes otherwise inside. Let me get this thing powered up. The hangar bay and the cabin and stuff, it's virtually unchanged other than what was needed to raise the cockpit blot up. I did add 1 light up there, and it's tied to the interior lights group and all that. I have a drill monkey alpha and a soaring monkey in here as a kind of a demonstration. I did have to rework the fuel tank slightly, so I went from 24,000 fuel capacity down to 22.5, so it's negligible change. I don't know, 4 or 5% or something like that, not much. And I did remove the repair station since it was hardly used, and its location and placement made for a problem in replacing those large vertical thrusters, at least the starboard side one over there, due to air tightness and issue like that. So I wound up having to get rid of it, which, I mean, that was the thing to sacrifice. It was never used. It was in here and I never used it because, you know, you're always either flying around with the the asteroid driller part of it, or you're down in the ground in one of the HV drillers or something. You're never doing hand drilling, really. Certainly not to the degree where you need to, where you're hammering your hand drill and you have to repair it, kind of thing. So that was the thing to sacrifice. And I got 2 blocks out of it, and then I used container extensions to rework the area, move the armor locker down a little bit, and increased the primary harvesting or collector box from 72,000 volume to 88,000 volume. So it's a pretty modest increase. Otherwise, the ship's not really changed any. Maybe a little bit more in some block reworks here. The relocation of the rear landing gears, I moved them forward 1 block to keep that whole slope underneath the ramps working right and all that. But otherwise, it's a solid upgrade. It's a solid refit. It made the ships a little bit more costly to build. Not a whole lot by comparison. I think it was maybe a couple hundred more silicone, a couple hundred more iron, a little bit more in the way of restrooms, escosium, stuff like that. But it's virtually the same. It's still a level 25 requirement. So this is the Silverback Small Mining CV. And it is the flagship of the Monkey Tools tooling collection, and I will link all that stuff down below in the description. And let's see, level to build 25, size class 1, seats a crew of 5, and there's your build cost right there on the right. So it's pretty typical. Anywho, hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, hit those like and sub buttons, and if you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below, and do appreciate it. Thank you very much for watching.